Welcome to the Église du Dôme in Les Invalides. Les Invalides is a building complex with three major parts: the museum area, the church and the dome area. In case this is the first of our three Les Invalides guides you're listening to, I will give you a brief summary of the Les Invalides history. The name Les Invalides is actually a shortened form of Hospital des Invalides, meaning the hospital for the invalids. Hinted in its name, the building complex was originally built as a large hospital and home for soldiers who had been wounded and injured during war. Les Invalides was initiated by King Louis XIV on November 24, 1670, and the building complex stood finished in the year 1675. The chapel area of Les Invalides was added shortly after the completion of the main area, and the Veterans Chapel was finished in 1679. Now let's talk some more about the beautiful place you're standing at right now, the dome area of Les Invalides. Shortly after the Veterans Chapel was completed, Louis XIV constructed a separate, private royal chapel, which was named Église du Dôme. The architect for the dome was Jules Ardon Mansart, and the dome church stood finished in 1706 and was inaugurated by the king himself. The dome is considered one of the very finest examples of French Baroque architecture. The dome was inspired by the origin of all Baroque domes, the grand St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. The Église du Dôme has in turn inspired several buildings. For example, the San Francisco City Hall. In 1989, during the 200th anniversary of the French Revolution, the dome itself was re-gilded for the 5th time since its creation. During the process, a large number of thin gold leads were used. Their total weight equaled around 10 kilos of pure gold. The dome is not only beautiful on the outside, but also on the inside. The magnificent paintings you will see in the roof originate from late 17th and early 18th century and were painted by Charles de la Fosse. While the gold glimmering dome is certainly impressive, the Église du Dôme is more known for its insides and what it stores. The dome is not so much used as a religious chapel, it is rather used as a military mausoleum. The dome provides the final resting place for several well-known French military leaders, the most famous one being Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte. After his defeat in the Battle of Waterloo, the new French ruler, Louis XVII, who by the way had been installed by the victorious coalition forces, had Napoleon exiled to the British island of St. Helena, outside West Africa. The island became Napoleon's home until his death in 1821. Later, under the rule of King Louis Philippe, Napoleon was brought back to France after 7 years of negotiations with the British. His remains were brought to Les Invalides, in which his tomb was placed in the center of the dome in the year 1861, where it still remains today. As you'll see, the massive tomb of Napoleon is made of some brownish red material. This material is called Russian red porphyry, and the base of the tomb is made of green granite from Vosges. If you take a closer look, you will see inscriptions around the tomb. These inscriptions are all the locations of some of Napoleon's larger victories, for example, the Battle of the Pyramids in 1798 and the Battle of Friedland in 1807. Surrounding the tomb is several white marble statues, all looking at the tomb in homage and gratitude to their great leader. If you go down into the circular gallery surrounding the tomb, you will see friezes in the wall often depicting Napoleon sitting on his throne as the supreme emperor. While the dome area is often rather full of visitors, there is a certain aura of calmness and respect surrounding Napoleon and his tomb. The tomb of Napoleon is of course the centerpiece in the dome area, but the dome also houses several other tombs. In one of the side rooms, you can see the tomb of Ferdinand Foch, the French military leader during World War I, carried by his soldiers. You will also find the tombs of Joseph and Jérôme Bonaparte, Napoleon's two brothers. The Église du Dôme also holds the heart of Vauban. Vauban was the best military engineer of his age. During the French Revolution, the remains of Vauban were scattered, but his heart was found and brought to rest in this very place. You can also see the tomb of Turenne, a Marshal General of France who lived during the 17th century and who served as a military role model for Napoleon himself. These people are just a few of all the French military leaders who rest in Les Invalides.